Have you ever thought of a true nightmare coming to life? Well, today that's exactly what happens to Emily. It was a cold night on November 15th, 2023, in a suburb outside Chicago. I had been on edge since I started noticing a car parked outside my house every night around the same time. At first, I brushed it off as nothing, but as the days went by, it became more persistent. That's when I realized it wasn't just a coincidence. My name is Emily, and I'm a 29-year-old nurse. But little did I know that this night would haunt me forever. I had just finished a long shift at the hospital and was ready to bed. As usual, I double-checked that all the doors were locked before settling on the couch with a cup of tea. At 11:17 p.m. is when I saw the headlights of that same car through the gap in my curtains. I was scared. I knew I needed to get a better look at this car, to see who was in it. Carefully, I turned off all the lights in the living room and made my way towards the window, crouching low. I peeked out, trying to make out the car's details. It was a black sedan, windows tinted so dark I couldn't see inside. The license plate was partially covered up by dirt. The car just sat there, engine running, as if it was waiting for something or someone. I reached for my phone and called the police, but I hesitated. I didn't want to be that person who called in a false alarm, but something about this felt off. My gut told me that this wasn't just someone lost or waiting for a friend. Just as I was about to go back into my house, the driver's door opened. My heart pounded in my chest as a tall figure stepped out, dressed in dark clothing. I couldn't see his face clearly. He kept looking at my house. I ducked down quickly, praying he hadn't seen me. My mind raced with options. Should I call the police now? Should I try to confront him? My instincts told me that staying hidden was my best bet, but curiosity got the better of me. I needed to know what he was planning. I risked another look out the window, just in time to see him pull something out of the trunk, a crowbar. Panic rushed through me. This wasn't a random stranger. This was someone who had come prepared. I ran back from the window, grabbing my phone and dialing 911, my voice shaking as I whispered to the operator. She assured me that officers were on their way, but it would take them at least 10 minutes to get there. 10 minutes? I didn't have 10 minutes. I could hear the man's footsteps outside my front door. He was trying to be quiet. I pressed my back against the wall, praying that he would somehow decide to leave. Then, the doorknob rattled. My heart sunk as I realized he was trying to force his way inside. The flimsy deadbolt wouldn't hold up against a crowbar. I needed to find a place to hide. But where? The closets were too obvious, and the attic ladder creaked too much. The basement was too far, and I didn't want to risk being trapped down there. My only option was the bathroom. I slipped into the small bathroom adjacent to the living room, closing the door as quietly as possible. I locked it, though I knew it wouldn't do much good if he got inside. The tiny room was scary. There was a loud bang as the door finally gave way, followed by the sound of heavy boots stepping inside. I tried to be as quiet as humanly possible. He was in my house. The intruder walked through the entire house. He knew what he was doing. I could hear him opening drawers, flipping through my belongings, as if he was looking for something specific. The thought of him touching my things, invading my personal space, made me sick to my stomach. I looked around the bathroom, searching for anything I could use to defend myself. My eyes landed on the ceramic toilet lid. It wasn't much, but it was heavy enough to do some damage if I could catch him off guard. I gripped it tightly and hid behind the door. The footsteps grew closer. He was heading straight for the bathroom. I held my breath. I was preparing for what I knew was coming. The door handle jiggled, and then there was a soft knock, as if he was testing to see if anyone was inside. There was no response from him. I could sense that he knew I was in there. He was listening, waiting. After what felt like an eternity, the handle turned, and the door swung open slowly. I caught a glimpse of his figure, tall, broad shoulders, dressed entirely in black. His face was hidden by a shiesty. He didn't speak, but I could feel his eyes on me, assessing, calculating. In a split second, I swung the toilet lid with all my strength, aiming for his head, but he was quick, too quick. He ducked, and the lid shattered against the wall. He ran at me, grabbing my wrist and twisting it painfully until I dropped the broken piece. I cried out in pain as he shoved me against the wall, pinning me there with his body. His hand wrapped around my throat, squeezing just enough to make me gasp for air. I struggled, kicking and punching him, but he was too strong. I fought to stay conscious. I could feel myself slipping, my energy draining as my lungs screamed for oxygen. Then, as suddenly as he had grabbed me, he released his grip. I fell to the floor, coughing and choking as I tried to catch my breath. He didn't give me a chance to recover. He grabbed me by the hair and dragging me out of the bathroom. He was dragging me toward the front door, toward the outside. My heart pounded in my chest. I knew I couldn't let him take me away from the house. If he got me outside, there would be no one to hear me scream. I mustered all the strength I had left and lashed out, kicking him hard in the shin. He screamed in pain, his grip loosening just enough for me to break free. I fell backward, disoriented, but there was no time to think. I turned and ran, heading for the back door. I could hear him behind me. I reached the back door, fumbling with the lock as my hands trembled uncontrollably. I managed to get it open just as he was about to reach me. I threw myself outside, slamming the door behind me and bolting towards the backyard fence. I could hear him behind me, his footsteps getting louder, closer. I reached the fence and somehow got over it. I landed awkwardly on the other side, pain shooting up my ankle, but I forced myself to keep moving. I couldn't stop now. I ran down the street, my eyes scanning for any sign of help, but the houses were dark. As I rounded the corner, I heard the sirens in the distance. Relief washed over me, but I didn't dare slow down. The man was still behind me, and I knew the police might not get there in time. I needed to find somewhere to hide, somewhere he couldn't reach me. My mind raced as I scanned the area, spotting a small playground up ahead. It wasn't much, but it was my only option. I ran towards it, ducking behind a row of bushes near the swing set. I crouched low, trying to quiet, as I listened for any sign of him. For a moment, there was nothing. I dared to hope that I had lost him, that he had given up, but then I heard it, the crunch of footsteps on gravel. He was still looking for me. I pressed myself further into the bushes, my heart pounding in my chest. I could see him moving through playground, searching for me. He was a professional. He knew what he was doing. It probably wasn't his first time. I knew it was only a matter of time before he found me. I needed to distract him, to buy myself more time. My eyes landed on a small pile of rocks near the base of the playground slide. Without thinking, I grabbed one and threw it as far as I could. It landed with a loud sound somewhere to the left of where I was hiding. For a moment, it seemed to work. He started walking towards the sound. I took the opportunity to slip out from the bushes, moving as quietly as possible, my ankle still in pain with every step, but I couldn't stop now. I kept making my way towards the edge of the playground where I could see streetlights. Just as I thought I was in the clear, I heard him shout. He was angry and frustrated. He had realized the noise was a distraction. Panic rushed through me, and my injured ankle was getting worse and worse. I could hear him behind me again, gaining on me. The streetlights were just ahead, but they seemed impossibly far away. But I forced myself to keep going. I was so close to safety. But then, I felt his hand grab the back of my shirt, yanking me backward with such force that I fell hard onto the pavement. Pain exploded in my shoulder as I hit the ground, and I cried out, tears streaming down my face. I tried to get up to my feet, but he was already on top of me. His hands were pinning me down. He didn't speak, but his grip tightened, and I could feel the knife pressed against my throat. The reality of the situation crashed over me like a tidal wave. This was it. I was going to die. But then, the sirens grew louder, closer. I could see the flash of red and blue lights off the nearby houses. The police were here. For a moment, the man hesitated, his grip faltering. That was all I needed. Summoning every ounce of strength, I brought my knee up hard, striking him in the groin. He screamed in pain, his hold loosening just enough for me to roll away. I got up to my feet, ignoring the pain going through my body, and ran towards the approaching police cars. The man cursed behind me, but I didn't look back. I couldn't risk it. The police cars and officers poured out, guns drawn. I stumbled towards them, relief washing over me as they shouted commands at the man. I collapsed into the arms of one of the officers, my body shaking with sobs of terror and relief. The man didn't resist when the officers tackled him to the ground, handcuffing him with swift precision. It was over. I was safe. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you have a story yourself, you can write it to me through email. You can find it in the description of the video.